Well, here's a fallout of the DeepSeek phenomena. The Indian IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw making the big announcement that the Chinese large language open source model DeepSeek will be brought to Indian servers, will be brought to Indian shores so that it becomes available to Indian users. Sounds simple? Well, not quite. A lot of jargon there. What does it actually mean? Let's help you break this down to understand what really has transpired with this announcement being coming from Ashwini Vaishnaw. Now, let's assume, and I'll explain that with the help of an analogy, the analogy of the humble tea, the common denominator between 2.8 billion Indian and Chinese. Now, let's assume that DeepSeek is this Chinese tea in this cup of tea. Now, what's important is that this is an open source AI model. What that effectively means is that the core code, which is the heart of the model, which is the recipe of the Chinese tea, is publicly available. So what the Indian government is proposing is that we'll use this recipe of the Chinese tea and replicate it here on Indian shores, on Indian servers, and have exactly the same model here present in India for Indian users. But that's not all. Let's bear in mind, we like our masala chai, like most things in life, we like a little tadka in our life. So we'll add a little input to this. We'll add some components. We'll add some sugar. We like some sugar in our tea. We'll definitely add some ginger. We like ginger as well. And let's not forget the milk in the Indian tea. And having done that, we'll come to the finished product, which of course is a humble masala chai, is a humble cutting chai. So why are we doing all of this? Why is Ashwini Vaishnaw doing all of this? Well, the long and short is, number one, let's not forget the obvious out of the way, which is the masala chai tastes a lot better. But having addressed with the obvious, the other two key components why the Indian government is doing is number one, all the components that we added, the sugar, the ginger, the milk, what that essentially represents are tweaks that Indian engineers will be able to do on Indian servers to this DeepSeek model. Now, why would we want to do that? Well, let's bear in mind there were niggles with DeepSeek when it initially came out. It wouldn't accurately answer questions about, say, the 1962 war or the status of Arunachal Pradesh. So this masala chai, with all these components, represents tweaks that the Indian engineers will be able to do on the Indian servers so that it becomes slightly more comprehensive. But the second and perhaps a larger concern that the government has is that the government doesn't want you sipping tea from the Chinese cup of tea, as that will leave your imprint, and by your imprint I mean your data with the Chinese servers. What the Indian government is essentially saying, let it come here and have a cup of tea from the Indian cup of tea, the Indian server, so that your imprint, your data stays safe within Indian shores. So this chai pe charcha is the long and short of why the Indian government is bringing DeepSeek on Indian servers to Indian shores.
For more news and updates, all you need to do is follow CNBC TV18 on all of our digital platforms.